You're tuned in to the world of Tom, where you catch all the facts and stay connected with Tom Lane.
Program.
Well, I know a lot of times.
Me, look at you. You look all cute. Okay. Welcome to In the World of Tom's Breaking News Thursday. I'm Tom Lane, and tonight I have the wonderful Nelvia Johnson, a teacher of Helena, Arkansas, a member of Zeta Phi Beta Incorporated, and a 4-year breast cancer survivor. Hey, Nelvia, how are you doing?
Hi, Tommy. I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and I guess how long you've been teaching?
So I am not the traditional type of teacher. I started out in an alternative school. So I was in that setting for 3 years, and then I got certified to teach 6th grade social studies. And I've been there for 4 years. So I've done 4 years in the traditional classroom, 3 years in alternative school, but in between I've been working with kids since I got out of college. So
I was teaching during the pandemic. Are you doing virtual learning or you have to go in class?
So our school is set up, we're doing hybrid. And so we have kids who come in 2 days out of the week. And then we have teachers that are on campus and teachers who are virtual. I'm virtual. They're going to alter the plan as we know more and more. So like parents have the option of sending their kids or they can do the days. And so they get to change it between each quarter.
Okay. So, on an honest level, has this been hard?
Like 180 days out of the year, I know that I'm going to be around people's children. That also gives me the opportunity to be around kids because I don't have any of my own and my family's not here. So I lean into them as they pour into me. And so not being able to be around my kids, I could cry. I really could. Not to be able, like, I just can't embrace them. I can't like give them me like verbally in person. And people just don't understand. Like it's emotionally taxing. It's stressful on your body. Even the ones there on campus, I mean, I keep them in my thoughts because they're actually interacting with everyone, and I'm here at home, by myself, isolated. So they have their own stressors on top of the same things that I have. And so it's been really difficult. Like, and there's more work that goes into it because you can't stop and check for comprehension. Like I could go up to a student, like I could literally walk up to one of my students and, hey, I'm noticing that you don't get it. But me being in front of this camera, I can't figure, like I don't have it. So it's really hard. It's very, very hard.
Are your students struggling? Because I know I listened to a podcast that had a few teachers on there saying that just about every student in their class were failing, and they didn't know what they were going to do, but they were trying to implement a plan over break with Thanksgiving coming up and Christmas coming up to try to better serve them in order to get them to pass, by the end of the year.
It's just so like, any school year when it starts, you get to know your kids. You try to get to know as much as you can within those first 3 weeks. That's not just on a personal level. That's just like trying to figure out how they learn and where they are, because we all know that kids, most of the time, they may not be on grade level in some subject. With social being so heavy on like with reading and things, my kids, they're on a average 2nd, 3rd grade reading level. I have some strong readers, but given all those things into consideration and then trying to track down children by phone or via the internet is difficult. There's kids I haven't even seen yet, and we just first quarter. So, I mean, I can only imagine what that looks like on the other side as the parent. I also feel like this since I teach 6th grade. We're trying to prepare them for the real world, whether that's college, military, or straight to work. But I give grace. I have to give them grace. I have to show them grace like grace has been shown to me. So I try to accommodate them in the way I can. It makes it difficult because I'm teaching the same content to people who are not on the same learn level and they don't learn in the same capacity. And I'm limited to what I can give them, the resources that I have, because I'm here and they're there or somewhere in their houses in front of their computer. So it's really difficult. Oh, and like we can do modifications, but like what's the modification if you don't know if it's actually working, if you're not being able to assess that child?
How do you foresee the rest of the year going for you and your students?
So, I mean, I want to have a positive outlook, and I'm hoping that this will teach us the importance of like web safety and also teaching our students how to be tech savvy. Like I know typing is a big issue. My kids don't know how to type. They really don't even know how to use the computer correctly. It's going to turn out in a positive light either way. We're going to use this as a learning tool and prepare for the next year if we're in the same predicament, or we're going to say, okay, we got through this. Now we're going to have these things in place forever. So what that looks like, I mean, is like, okay, we need to work on our kids' social and emotional skills. We can target bullying because that's been a subject. Cyberbullying has come up. We can teach web safety. We can teach them the typing and computer processing skills that they might need. Like now we know what we need to give our kids for them to be successful.
And you can better accommodate them. So hopefully the second quarter would just be that much better now that you all see where you can improve at this point, right?
Right. And I think this is like this stresses the importance of internet being in all homes, all people being being able to have access to computers, some type of telephone. But I feel like that's a part of like the whole free education. Like our kids should have these things. It's equitable educational opportunities for all. But what we're learning is that all kids don't have computers in their home. All kids don't have access to the internet. All kids don't have access to school supplies or food at home. These kids are not coming to school to get fed 3 meals out of the day. So it's levels. It's a lot of levels to it that, like, if you're not in it or you're not one of those parents who's been in education or had any type of position, whether it be food services, custodial, administration, it doesn't matter. If you've been in the school system and you know all the things that we do, sending food home on the weekends, sending food home at night, sending extra snacks, buying clothes, providing clothes to students, like I don't know what's going on with my kids because I don't get to like visually see them to make sure that they're being taken care of. Because I sit there and I watch them. Okay, oh, so-and-so's eating a little bit more today. Oh, go to the next day. They're eating a little bit more today than normal. Hoarding food. Okay, I need to start sending them home with some stuff, So like people sleep on teachers.
I know that. I mean, I don't think parents took it into consideration exactly how much you guys suffer. I mean, how much you all need through the year. I know that they know and understand what you asked for at the beginning of the school year as far as supplies go, but they don't understand that when there's not enough supplies, or you do have those 5 or 2 kids in the classroom that are not able to afford it, that you have to try to make up for that. So being able to get those type of donations go a long way to help you guys. And now, with the pandemic, I'm sure the tissue, the extra hand sanitizers, just checking in, just doing a simple check. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What can we do as parents to better help you?
I think, like I said about my kids, I think grace goes a long way. I'm one of those teachers, if you can try to meet me halfway. I would love for it to be halfway, but I go that extra step. So if it's got to be 75-25, just give me whatever you can bring to the table, but don't be closed off to something that's outside of what you think the normal type of I won't even say relationship. I think it's a molding. I like to think it's both of us as the clay, the student and the teacher, because they're learning from me and I'm learning from them. So at the end of this year, we all should have got something from each other. And as far as the parent goes, I need them to know that they are part of that triangle. Like, it's all of us together in this thing, and we all really play an equal part. I also like to say a closed mouth won't get fed. So I say that to the parents in the sense of, if you need me as a teacher to go that extra mile, I don't mind to. I used to stay after school 5:30, 6 o'clock. And I just wonder why do y'all want to be here with me? And not in a bad way. I'm like, don't y'all have, like, you've been at school all day. This is new to everybody. So the support and the grace, it has to be extended, and we all have to be working in this thing. It's difficult, but we can do it together.
In regards to the teacher panel that I did have, I mean, they were all expressing how, this is opening their eyes to the situation with the parents. There are parents who are not open with their financial situation or what they don't have, but it's making them realize that these parents are trying to make it the best that they can, so they don't have access to internet and things like that. So I know a couple schools were trying to find a way to provide some type of Wi-Fi connection to be able to get internet access regardless of your situation.
Yes, we issued hotspots. And here's the other part. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm just coming at the parents, like, because there are school districts that did not provide computers. I know one particular school district that I contacted in the Boo Hill. I went on a whole campaign and telling them this is not equitable, because I know that the federal government and the state government has allocated funds specifically for you to update your technology practices. So what you're going to do is give these kids the computer, because they were saying, oh, we can't give the kids computers because they're not on campus. But those should be the kids that you give the computers to. Plus, the state and the federal government has allocated these funds. So what are you going to do? Misappropriate those funds? I had a whole campaign on Facebook.
Really? How did I miss that?
Baby, educational equity is my passion, and that tied to the social and emotional learning and wellness practices of not only my students but my coworkers.
Mm-hmm.
That's my dream. My dream job is to go into educational consulting. I'm going to plug, shameless plug. So this is one thing that frustrates me about us being in this crisis that we are in. Like, education was already, like, in crisis mode. We all know. And I'm somewhat radical. I think, like, as far as the education of Black children, it's up, down, up, down, up, down. And we've fought for equality, but we haven't fought for equity. And so we could have, as African Americans in this space that we're in right now, in this social climate, we could have taken this opportunity to build a curriculum that was culturally responsive and like not dated. We could have updated our curriculum and made it something that was applicable to all students of color, people of color, and white children too. I'm not going to exclude them, but specifically us as a community. We could have taken this time and reshaped so much within the educational system, and we just dropped the ball. And I know we have pressing matters with our Black Lives Matter movement, just all these random police shootings and killings and people just, standing your ground. I know we have pressing matters, but we still have a village to raise. And so not just the Black community, but just the educational system in general. Like, we talk about equality, but we don't talk about equity. I've been working with kids since I got out of college, 2006, but I've been working with kids since 2006. Girl, that my heart kind of stopped when I said that. And so it's kind of evolved. Like, I wanted to be a teacher and I wanted to do social work, and I've been able, get my feet wet in all of those fields. And so it's just evolved into, like, what do our children need to be successful, and what do we need as the teacher to be successful, not for ourselves, but for our kids, and how does that look in the school setting? And so I just hope that I am able to, accumulate all the knowledge that I need to actually launch this thing. And that kind of ties into my curable contemplation. That was a blog while I was going through breast cancer, but I think it's time to revive that girl, because
Yeah.
new thing that we need to get out there. I feel like I need to get out there.
What you've been through is all the motivation that you need to put behind that drive to get to where you want to be, as far as contributing to the education community and giving these kids something to grow with, leave your legacy behind, and putting that into multiple people. I've learned because of my mom, but putting your legacy into multiple people and that love and that just that education, it goes a long way. These people will never forget you for that. I mean, these little babies, they're gonna get older, and Miss Nelvia said, but Miss Nelvia taught me. Oh, I remember I had Miss Nelvia in like 3rd grade.
Yeah, and passion. I don't want them to sound like it's wonderful to see my students full circle, and it's really amazing. I can't even explain it, because I'm looking at them having their kids now, getting married, becoming lawyers and nurses and doctors, going off into the military, or just being successful like at whatever job.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have a job, I'm proud of you. You could left high school and sat at home, but you chose to be out there being a productive.
Make something of yourself.
Yeah, and so I like when I get a request, a request from my students, my ex students, I'm like,
yeah,
baby's okay. Yes, it's a good. It really is.
So to switch gears a little bit, what exactly were you doing before cancer?
Okay, so I was in somewhat of a transition. I was an investigator for the Children's Division in the state of Missouri, and then I became a case manager at a domestic violence shelter. So I was in somewhat of a transition, and like I said, I was about to start a new job the day I was diagnosed with cancer, but it was still in case management. It was just going to be with adults. And I kind of think that was a sign for me to still be working with kids in some capacity, because that all of my jobs have, and I'm a sociology major, so easy peasy. But I was like, getting ready. I was going to move and move to Cape, start this job. Just get a fresh start, because I was ready to be out of the boot hill again, and I thought Cape was far enough away to be like I could be home in an hour. And yeah, I got diagnosed with the node. I had to quit, so I had like 3 jobs at the time when I got diagnosed. Yeah.
And I feel like I remember that, because I had 3 jobs and we were meeting up, going to the meetings, and I was like, I'm working at the radio station, McDonald's, substitute teaching, and you were doing your stuff plus driving to the meetings just to be a part. And I'm like, we out here getting it. You don't mind me asking, how old were you when you found out that you had breast cancer, and what type of cancer was it?
I want to say I was 32, if my math serves me correctly. I had my 33rd birthday in September after I went to remission. And it was triple negative breast cancer, stage 2. That's what I was diagnosed with.
And can you take us back to when you found out and how it made you feel, and how did you find the lump?
I don't know who put it in my mind. I would say like the fact that my grandma had the cancer, breast cancer. I would do the self checks, and I was top heavy, so I was like, yeah, you probably need to do that. And so I started doing them at a very young age. It was just something that I knew to do. And so I felt it in October or November-ish, and it got bigger. And so we went ahead. I went to my family doctor and got scheduled for a mammogram. So that's how that process started. I went to the doctor. The doctor scheduled the mammogram so that we're in January by now. And like I told you, you know, I had started having physical changes, but didn't know that that was related to the cancer. So around August, I became like really sluggish and started putting weight on that I had previously lost. I couldn't exercise, like I was exhausted. And so when I found it at the end of the year in 2015, it got bigger. We scheduled that appointment with for the mammogram, and they did like, I'm telling you, it was like 5 or 6 different tests. Ultrasound of like the reproductive organs. They cut it, biopsied it, CAT scan and an MRI, I think. When I tell you they ran every test, they ran every test. And so after that last test, they scheduled another one, and I had an appointment for the test. And I'm in the hospital I went to. Shout out to them, St. Francis and Cape Girardeau. They took care of me. When I tell you they took care of my health, they also took care of me financially, because if they wouldn't have wrote off those bills, the ones that I had accumulated prior to becoming employed again, I'd still be paying for chemo and the medicines and all of those things. But that last day, February 8th, I went back to the follow-up appointment, 1:00, sat there by myself. My mom and my sister had asked several times, do you want us to go? And I'm like, no, I'm going to schedule this lumpectomy because I'm starting my new job tomorrow. And we're just going to move on with life because that's what we do. He walked in with his nurse and his what are they called? It's not an intern, but it's the doctor, the student doctor. I didn't think they were called interns, but they walk in together, and you know, he's really nice and all of that. Just a nice guy. And he was kind of stoic, but like I said, it's something that he's done before. And it reminds me of the criminal shows where the cops try to show as much compassion, but it's kind of like, it's like something they have to do, like when they have to go to somebody's house and tell them that it's a homicide or whatever. It's kind of weird, but I'm crime shows all day long, but it's kind of like
me too.
That same type of feeling and emotion. That's why I say, like, when you hear cancer, it just reminds you of death and a loss. And so he came in, the 3 of them came in. He was like, Ms. Johnson, I'm sorry to tell you, but you have breast cancer. And I just stared at him, and I stared and I smiled. And that was like, I was just like, I'm sorry. This is not funny, but that's like literally what happened. And like, he had to bring me back to reality. He's like, are you okay? And I was like, I'm fine. Yes, thank you. Thank you, doctor. And so once they closed that door, I lost it. And I just fell out. And then I ended up on the floor somehow. I don't even remember. And his nurse came in. And like I said, I was by myself. So that lady really, she lifted me up from the ground.
Yeah.
Like I just was confused.
Yeah.
And
But that was devastated. You were devastated in the beginning. Like, you were crushed. I mean, even though you pulled yourself up by the bootstraps, you've gotten through it. That's devastation. I couldn't imagine.
You know, Tommy, like, life is chaos and devastation, but life is beautiful. Yeah. And we have to take the good with the bad and vice versa. And so I never questioned why I got the cancer. It was just like, how am I going to get through this another thing? Because I also suffer from mental illness too. So like, it's just layers. And so like, with my mental already being discombobulated, like it was overwhelming. But in the moment, it was just like, oh, I'm about to die. And that's literally what I thought. And so I was by myself. And so nobody could really like bring me back to like the just breathing and being calm. Nobody.
Right.
And so
Right.
she came in and she helped me, and I called my mom and my sister and my two best friends. And actually, I can't even remember. I don't know. I think I called my sister because I didn't want some people. I just didn't. It's not that I didn't want them to know. It was just kind of like some. Hey guys, I know I said I had a I'm going to have a lumpectomy, but guess what? I got cancer. And so when I tell you that was one of the first time in my 17 years of friendship with my best friend, that was like one and only times that girl cried. And I'm sitting here like, hey, you are the person who's not the crybaby. Stop it.
Oh, you gonna make me cry just thinking about when I heard about it. First off, I didn't think this interview would take me personally all the way back 4 years ago. But my mom was alive and we were going to our meetings and we were doing our thing. So of course, naturally, being that I've already knew you, I was going to talk about you. So then I'm online and I see this. And then I text you, I'm like texting you like, no. And you like, yeah, I'm straight. Yeah. And I'm like, mama. And she was like, she's strong though. And I'm just like, how can you be calm? She's like, because life, like what you just said.
Yeah, girl.
Life happens. This is life. You know what I mean? Not knowing that she was going to die like within a few months of you finding out. You know what I mean? Like, wow. And look at you. Your skin is popping, honey. Melanin dripping everywhere. Just
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. I am blessed.
Yeah.
And you know it's cliche, but I love to say I am blessed and highly favored. And God has. I tell people cancer saved my life because I calmed down and I realized my strength, but not even the fact that I was going through physical pain. It was like more so the mental and emotional warfare that was going on within me that I had to fight. Okay, I got cancer. What are we going to do to treat this thing? That's basically what it was. I'm either going to do what you say or I'm not going to be here anymore, you know? And I know, girl, you talking about me when everything happened with your mom.
Yeah.
Woo, honey. I was devastated because I knew y'all's relationship and I got to see that emotion and feel love, and you talk about her and your eyes light up and she do the same thing about you. So it's like, y'all, okay, mom and daughter, no, best friends, BFS for life, because it was just the two of y'all, like, you know, two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
And so to hear about not only that loss and that separation, it took me a while to get my thoughts together, to even to get my thoughts together, to even have the words to give to you. But I've tried to, and I know, like, you know, in time and
how
to trickle off on checking on folks. But I don't know. I'm going until she tells me to shut up and leave her alone. Tommy, how you doing, boo? It was just like that.
You were very consistent. You were very, very consistent with checking on me in that aspect. And I can only imagine that going through what you've been through contributes to right now. Let me appreciate the people that's in my life. And if I can encourage and uplift that one person that is going through something that is, you know, tearing them to pieces, let me be that person to uplift them. You've always been that person though. Because I feel like I was mad about something when we had that conversation about Michael Jackson, and I sat with you away from everybody else, and that's how we got into the whole conversation about Michael Jackson, the old 60s, oh my God, we're in Atlanta, we're seeing all of this history, like what it's doing to me, and you know, you were there to like bring me out of that and make me feel good. And then even when we found out he died, you know, I'm all on the floor and toe up and you right there with me. So
you know what?
always been that angel, Nelvia. I know you've always asked Terica. Terica, hey.
That's sister cuz right there, girl. And after you soror, like, oh God, you really my sister now. But yeah, that's my heart. And I'm happy I have her in my life because she centers me in ways no other. Just talk about myself. But I think I somewhat prepared her to handle those 4 children because I got 4 personalities within myself. And so she just brings them all together and says, never get back to yourself. And
she's doing it. She
yes.
is absolutely doing it.
Mhm.
What is the name of her podcast?
Handling the Howards.
Okay. So whenever you all get time, look them up on YouTube and all social media platforms. That is something very interesting for parents. It's very interesting and informative for parents. So whenever you get a chance, please check out Handling the Howards. I'm pretty sure somebody will get some information out of it that they can apply to their life and their own situation.
2 girls, 2 boys, are identical twins. And I think from 10 to 2 in ages. I think Taylor's 2, about to be 3, something like that. Taylor's actually 21, and we fight all the time, so we're not even going to talk about Tay-Tay.
Terica cracks me up when she talks about her. It's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious, and I just love it. I do. I love Terica. I've always loved Terica. I've always admired her. So I can only imagine how your family was there to be able to be that backbone and that support for you. After accepting everything, though, how did you begin to move forward, with treatment, having to face your finances, with having to pay for these treatments, insurance, because you mentioned you didn't have insurance. So
no insurance. They declined my disability. So had it not been for Medicaid, and Medicaid doesn't cover everything, there's still cost after that. And I don't know why people have that perception, but there it is. So Medicaid, and I have to shout out to my Spelman sisters and my high school classmates, Bernie High School class of 2001, and not even them because we were a small school. So it was just like people from everywhere, like all around, just support, whether it was mentally or financially. My friends raised, I want to say, almost $12,000 just to help me. I had no income, and I had moved back in with my parents. I had to quit all my jobs, and that was hard within itself because my clients, I remember one client, he just dropped down to his knees when I told him. He's like, Lord, please don't let this lady die. She's such a wonderful lady. And then, like I said, the hospital had a program, and then you get on and you just go to the internet and try to find different resources. And I ended up having to file for bankruptcy. Walgreens, they'll cover whatever's left over if you're like low income and have Medicaid, or even just, I think it's just low income. If you tell them you can't afford it, they'll just write it off. And it may be just the local one. But that was like, and then like my parents having to, in my I have my parents and my sister, brother, and niece, and my nephew was young, but like all of them just supporting me and pouring into me, and they would pick up the slack. Like they had to pick up my financial responsibilities because I had no income. I had nothing.
What advice would you give someone that's going through something like this, and they don't have insurance, and they feel confused, and you know how you get that fog when you have so much chaos going on that you don't take a moment and say, let's research this. So right now, while anyone who's listening who may be going through that, what advice could you give them to better help them?
As far as like how you feel just as a response to finding out you have cancer, and what that looks like, I try not to tell people like, oh, it's going to be okay. Oh, I'm not going to give anybody false hope, right? And I know that sounds harsh, but it's really not meant to be harsh. I can't tell you what your experience is going to be. All I can tell you is what mine is and was. And I hope that the good like the good parts of it, I hope you have more of those moments than the bad ones that I saw. I cannot dictate how you are supposed to react or not react, right? So it's going to be a journey. That's the main thing I'll tell people. Cancer is one of those things you long for the cancer to be gone, right? You just have to tell people and have them realize, look, you don't want that person to be in pain. So either God is going to take that pain, he's going to take that pain away from the person, but it can happen in two ways. That person's going to stay here on earth, heal, have whatever life that is left, and what you can do and what's in your like realm of what's left on your path to do, basically. Or he's going to take that person to go to the spiritual world. I tell people a lot of times I had to have this conversation with somebody whose mom, her cancer came back. And I said, she's just fighting for y'all. She's still here just for you. And kind of looked at me. I'm like, she's preparing you for her to go because the cancer's going to stay here on earth with y'all. It's going to stay here with y'all. But the spiritual her is gone. Like she's tired. So now you have to come to terms with her dying. And I know that's an extreme example because cancer is just a tricky thing. It's just, you don't know what's going to happen. So I don't want to be the person to tell you your story is your own. My cancer story is my own.
That was my struggle. When I found out, I feel like thinking back, that was the main thing that I turned to my mom for. Like, what do I say? I've never had a friend that had cancer. I've experienced a lot of kids in school going through like leukemia and things like that, but they weren't my friend. We weren't close. But I'm like, no, I know her. I can like call her, have her phone number. So what do I say to my friend who has no problem encouraging me to encourage her? It was definitely something hard for me to hear and receive and just not find the words, knowing that we were close, but just like not that close, like you and Terica. And I just wanted to make you feel better. I was like, look, we could pray together. I don't care what we have to do. We're going to be in this. Like I didn't care,
You literally, like the first few messages you sent me were like, no. And no, but I don't know what to say. But no, not no. And I remember, and I'm like, it's okay. Like it's okay. We're gonna be cool.
You was making me chill out.
Yeah, and that's literally where I was with everybody. I'm like, hey, if you panic, I'm a panic. But I tell you, my life was in such chaos. Like prior to it, girl, I lived my life. I did what I wanted to do. I had to sit. I literally had to sit down. So it was just like, hey guys, you know what? I will keep y'all updated on the blog. If you have my contact information, you can contact me. There are so many organizations that support people. If you don't have a family to support you or friends or any type of just support system, there's so many organizations out there, because that's one thing about this internet thing we have here. You can connect with people all over the place. And I had people sending me cards. I had just survivors who would send words or gifts of encouragement to me. And I actually forgot about that. And I forgot all about that, but it just came back to me talking to you. Like, I had a friend send me, and it was so traumatizing. And that's another thing, like Black people and Black women in particular, like our bodies have never been our own. Henrietta Lacks, right? I am slaying Tommy L. I'm slaying reading this, like crying, and I kind of felt guilty reading it because with her story, they just literally left her there and let the cancer ravage her body.
What was the name of the movie again?
It's the story of Henrietta Lacks, I believe is the name. It's about Henrietta Lacks had cancer, and I don't know which one it was. I want to say it was a reproductive organism that she had cancer. I don't think it was breast cancer. And ultimately she was going to treatment and they were not treating her. And so somebody took her cells. I don't know what they were about to do with them, biopsy them or whatever. They noticed that they were replicating. And so with that, they like halted everything, didn't give her any type of medicine. We're telling her that her family didn't help her any money, and so they didn't get they were harvesting her cells. Like, and so these cells are still being used today by like you can hear like any laboratory. They say that her husband would just take the kids to the like courtyard or whatever in front of the hospital, and somebody would help her to the window so she could see her kids. Happy that I had the support system. My friend sent me that book, but that book triggered me so bad while I was sick. I had to take a drink of my juice. Other parts of that, this is what's crazy. That lady has saved so many lives just because her cells are they're literally still being used today.
And now that you said it and I pulled it up, this is definitely familiar for me. I've read on this. I haven't read the book, but I would like to get the book. So I wanted to play this clip really quick just to see what it's like. And I'm probably going to put this at the end of this video. So for anyone that's interested, go check out. We're just going to watch just a few seconds.
At the center of the Henrietta Lacks story are people asking questions, for people trying to understand the biology of human cells. It's there for bioethicists, for patients. This is why Johns Hopkins is committed to outreach and education for all the community.
It's a labor of love. We all feel like we're connected to this beautiful woman who we call the mother of medicine. It really makes you think about how powerful an impact one person unknowingly could make.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming to learn more about my great-grandmother and what her legacy has left for all of us here today. So over 60 years ago,
in my capacity as the director of outreach for the Institute for Clinical and Translation.
All right, I was about to get real deep into that, just lost.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let anyone, please. I'm encouraging all women who are tuning in tonight, or whenever you tune in, to take a look at Henrietta Lacks' story and just indulge in her story and learn more about her. You don't have to be Black, but we ask that the Black girls do take a look at that and ask their grandmothers questions and all of that and get to know your body. That's very important at this point.
The name of the book is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. They took her name. They used her name for the cells. They took the HE off her first name and LA, and you call them HeLa cells. So that's where they got the name for them, and they're still using them to this day. That's a whole nother. We can go all the way into like Black feminist theory and all of that, and the fact that
we're gonna have to revisit that. And it don't necessarily have to be speaking about cancer in itself, but just the effects of, like you said, Black women in the medical field. Because I don't know if you saw the post, and I feel like you liked it, but when we were talking about preeclampsia, I was shocked how many of my friends were coming out about talking about preeclampsia, their experience in the hospital, and just how, you know, how you kept referring to your doctor and just kind of being used to doing this, and how they just kind of felt neglected by their medical doctor. And I really took note when the Black girls were the one to say that they felt like, you did this to my body, like you were doing things without answering my questions. And I wholeheartedly went through that. My experience was a nightmare. So we will definitely have to come back to that. Real quick, going back to families, can you give a little bit of advice to you know, to those families that are going through this? And I feel like I've already asked you, but the families that are trying to encourage their loved one who is battling cancer, breast cancer, whatever type of cancer.
I mean, I literally had a friend who, with my type of chemo I was going through, my nails had black lines. Like my nails, they were very brittle, and you could see the black line going down it from the chemo. And when I tell you, this girl, this woman, a friend from high school who I didn't even go to the same high school with, we actually had dance lessons together as kids before I was even in the 6th grade. And she came to the hospital and painted my fingernails.
Oh,
Same. This is just how God works. Like I that's a plug for her. And she's that girl. I could cry because every time I talk about her, I get moved. She has gone above and beyond as a white female to try to understand white privilege and white fragility. That it makes me proud to say she's my friend, but I know that where she's coming from is a place, it's a sincere place as far as her wanting to fight Black people. And so I use her that she came from her job. She owns a business. She left her job, came to St. Francis and painted my nails, Tommy L. What that is, like, that's just
the humility in it, you know,
the love.
The love. That's
Colored with love. And you know, yes, I don't like to say color, you know, I'm colorblind. I'm not one of those people. You should be. You got to see that color. But there was nothing that we were connected. That was like my sister in that moment.
Spirit situation.
To this day, if she was to call me and say she needed anything, I would try my damnedest. She came my nails just because I had made a post. I had made a post about the fact that I said, I don't know what to do with my hands because I got these black lines and I don't look like this anymore. I look like I'm sick. I don't have any eyebrows. I don't have any hair. My face was swollen from steroids and I can't do this. Like, she came and painted my nails. What do you need? How can I support you? I just want my nails painted. And I actually didn't even ask her. She just came with, like, what color do you want? And you know what, Tommy, I'm going to add this, and I'm not throwing any salt on, on anybody or down in them. But it's like in those times, it's like the person you least expect to pour into you in some way, form, or fashion. You know what I'm saying? It's like, like the one, sometimes the people you think are going to be up in your face and like helping you, girl, it was several people that just, ploop, we not friends no more. You just have to go on. You really do. You just really have to. You can either stay in that vein of hate or disappointment or anger, or you could just say, hey, I can't tell you what you should have done, but this is what I would have liked you to do to support me. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I came out on the other side, but even now I worry. The first year of remission, I question my femininity now because I don't have any breasts. I get sad because I'll never be able to breastfeed my children if I have any. I don't even know if I can have any because I didn't have insurance and I couldn't afford to harvest my cells.
Yes, that, like you just said, it's all a part of diseases and the cancers and all of that you would have to deal with. What what exactly are you doing or do you have to do to maintain your health and try to make sure that it doesn't come back? Is there anything that you can do to make sure that it doesn't happen again?
No. And that's not even
I didn't
like,
expect that.
so it's even life. Like we live to die. We live to die. That's basically how it, and you just hope in this thing called life that you don't mess over anyone else.
Well, before we go, what would you like to say to anyone out there listening or tuning in at whatever time it is? It could be in the morning, the afternoon, or right now.
Well, with my particular cancer, and I'm just, you know, you just really don't know. You don't know, and here's another thing: don't tell somebody, "Oh, you got the good one. You got the good type of cancer." There's no cancer. And with the particular type of cancer I had, the mortality rate was extremely high for Latina or Latinx women and African American women. And even with my age, the fact that I was the age I was and the fact that I didn't have kids made my mortality rate go up. Ain't that something? So the goal is, and I still have my port. I don't know if you can see it. I still have my port where I got my chemo.
Okay.
But when I hit my 5-year remission mark, my mortality rate goes down significantly. And that'll be August 2nd of next year. My gift to myself is removing my port, because I could have got it removed a long time ago, but my mental, I'm so worried about, it's always going to be in the back of my mind that my cancer is going to come. Yeah, because like people have that, they have the misconception that if you have your breast removed, you get the cancer back. It doesn't work like that. Yes, it can come back regardless. It can come back in a different place. You know, and that's one reason why I elected to have the that's real crucial too. That's one reason why I elected to have the bilateral mastectomy, because I would have had to go through radiation on top of the 6 rounds of chemo that I had already been through. And chemo took me through there. I would not eat for a week, then I would gorge myself because I hadn't ate for a week. I could tell you to eat right, but in reality, if you get cancer, it's the luck of the draw. And we know people who are exercising every day have a heart attack and gone. So it's just, I tell people, you just have to try to live. That's why I just have to keep saying that. You just try to live. You don't assume you know what somebody's feeling or going through, even if it's all over. I know I've never seen you sad or down. And so that was one reason why I knew I had to reach out to you throughout the midst of, I even was to myself, I'm going to reach out if I get a response or if I don't. And you know, it would be some weeks. It would be time. And hey boo. And you said, what to somebody after they get the diagnosis? What did you say to me before I had the diagnosis? Hey boo, say that to me.
I get it from your perspective of just being normal. Stay normal. Help me. Just be there to be my support, but keep it the same. Don't switch up on me. And the only reason why that is familiar is because when my mom did die, people changed drastically.
Cancer hit me with some life lessons. I learned I can't tell you how to grieve. I can't tell you how long to grieve. I don't want to tell you you'll get over it one day. Because you that hurt doesn't go anywhere. So it's sad to know that we are the ones that are so heavily, we are that group that is overlooked.
Very
Contribution.
Very much so.
And so when you find something that doesn't feel right, look right, you have to, you need, because here's the other parts of that, Tommy. They don't tell people to get the test done, the mammograms done until you're 40 years old. I just implore people, like, go get it done. If you feel something that's wrong, go to the doctor.
Can we get a demonstration?
So like,
I don't want to just, plop it out.
You would just, and it's kind of hard because I have implants, but I would just, so when I was in the shower, I would feel around like that, not as fast, but just feeling and squeezing. And so then when you're laying like in your bed, you do the same thing, feel under your arms, just make sure there's no tenderness and no like hard mass or anything that you have not felt before. Is it kneading dough? Something like that?
Yeah, like massaging.
Yeah. So just think you're playing with Play-Doh and just feel all.
Yeah.
And that's male or female because male can get breast cancer, contrary to what people think. I think the percentage is lower, but males can get breast cancer. Feel it on the first. That is something that we use in the breast cancer community, and it's just a reminder to do your self-check. And so on my blog and on my Instagram, I would always put like first of the month, that's your day. And I would take a picture and I would do it like this. I would take a picture of me holding my breast. And I would just say, today's the day, feel it on the first. So that way you'll remember to do your monthly self-check.
According to breastcancer.org, in women under 45 years of age, breast cancer is more common in Black women than white women. Overall, Black women are more likely to die of breast cancer if left untreated. Well, that's it for In the World of Tom. I want to thank Ms. Nelvia Johnson again for coming to sit down with us tonight and educating us and getting us to do our checks. And remember, feel it on the first. Don't forget. Okay? Check
Today is the first.
Today is the first. And I didn't get
You better.
All right. Hold down for that. Thank you again, Nelvia. It was so good, extremely good to talk to you and just catch up and be able to be a part of effective change in our community.
Yes. And I thank you for having me. I just thank you for having me. That's all.
Oh, let me not forget. And let's all remember to speak on it. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you. A member of Gamma Epsilon Omega graduate chapter, and I am a 1-year survivor. Early detection is best with the mammogram due to the fact that I didn't have any symptoms at all. And that's when I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma breast cancer. Upon learning that the sorority had a mammography unit, I was elated.
Tom Lane here. If you like this video, feel free to subscribe to this channel. Also, slap on that notification bell so that way you are the first to know when I post new content. Thumbs up your favorite and pass on the way.
Every Thursday with Tom